Good afternoon, Mrs. Mascari.
Hello, Mrs. Sexton.
How are you today?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. What are you up to?
Well, I'm working on this math problem and I'm stuck. Can you help me?
Sure. Can you tell me about the problem?
Well, I've got an array of pumpkins and it says 3 times 6 plus blank times 6 equals 6 times 6. And I'm not sure how to figure out that blanks.
Do you know what this is an example of, Mrs. Mascari?
What?
This is the distributive property.
Oh,
Have you heard that word before?
I have.
Yeah. So when we use the distributive property, we are breaking apart an array. So this array is a 6 by 6 array, and we see there are 6 rows with 6 pumpkins in each row. So we have 6 times 6. But I don't know how to count by 6s yet, do you?
No, that's too hard.
Yeah, so instead of counting by 6s, we're going to split our array into something that we can count by. And so we have our groups of 6, right? So we have groups of 6 and we have groups of 6. But we're splitting this other 6 into 3 groups and something else. So I'm going to count down 1, 2, 3 rows. And I'm going to draw a line to break this array into 3 rows of 6. So now I can count by 3s, and so I have that array and I have this piece of the array. So now I have 2 pieces, and this first piece was 3 groups of 6. This second piece right here is also, you can see, 1, 2, 3
groups of 6.
So it is also 3 groups of 6.
Oh,
yeah.
I get it.
So now to solve the multiplication problem, 6 times 6, I can solve, 3 times 6. I know that one. Do you know that one?
18.
18, very good. And then we also have another 3 groups of 6. That's also 18. And when I add 18 plus 18, I get 36. So 6 times 6 is equal to 36. So the distributive property can help me to break a bigger problem into a smaller problem.
That does help to see it that way. Thanks.
Yeah. Do you want to see another example?
Yeah, let's do another one.
Let's do one more. So let's make that one small. All right, so let's think of a big multiplication problem that seems hard right now. What do you think? Maybe 7 times 8?
Okay, 7 times 8.
7 times 8 is a tricky one because I don't know how to count by 7 or 8.
That's another hard one, yeah.
So I know that 7 times 8 would be 7 rows. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I know that it would be 8 in each row. 3, 4, 5. So I could draw this array. But even if I drew out this whole array, I'm noticing a lot of dots to be able to count. And even though I could sit here and count each one, I don't think that that would be the most efficient way to solve this problem.
That would take a long time.
It would take a long time. So instead I'm going to split 7 or 8. It doesn't really matter which number I split apart, but I'm going to split one of those numbers apart into something that I know how to count by. So let's split up our 8. Okay? So what's something that you do know how to count by?
2s or 4s?
2s? Okay. I know how to count by 2s as well, right? So instead of counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 dots, I could just count 2 rows. So I have a group of, there's 7 rows of 2, right? So I could split that into 7 rows of 2, but that's not my whole problem, is it?
No.
I also have, let's see, how many more do I have in each row?
You have 6.
6, right? Because 8 isn't the same as 2, but 8 is the same as 2 and 6. So I can break this piece off too. And now I have, let's see, I still have 7 rows, right?
Right.
But I now have only 6 in each row. All right. That was kind of a tricky way to split it up because I'm still not sure if I can count by 6s,
big, yeah.
right? Yeah. We could even split it up again though. We could split the 6. We could split this up into 6. Instead of 6, we could say
3 and 3.
Maybe 3 and 3. Okay. Yeah, 3 and 3. So let's go ahead and do that. So now I have 3 and 3, and instead of 7 times 6, I have 3 times 6 or 3 times 7. Oops. Let's see. 3 times 7 and 3 times 7. All right,
Okay.
so that helps me to split that up. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, so my first piece, I have 7 times 2, and that is
14. That's easy. Yeah.
Then I have 7 times 6, which that was tricky, but I have 3 times 7, and that gave me
21.
21. And another 3 times 7, that gives me
Another 21.
21. So now I can add up 14, 21, and 21. Let's see. 21 and 21 is 42. And 14 and 42 is equal to 56. So 7 times 8 must be 56. So I can use the distributive property to split one big array, like 7 times 8, into 2 smaller arrays, like 7 times 2 and 7 times 6. Or, like we did there, we could even split it up into 3 different arrays. So we know that 7 times 8 is the same thing as 3 parts. I like to kind of write up my parentheses like that, a part, and another part, and another part. And so 7 times 8 is the same thing as 7 times 2, and then 3 times 7, and 3 times 7. So that's breaking it up into 3 parts, which is really tricky.
It's tricky, but helpful to see it that way, I think.
Yeah, it is. So the distributive property can be really helpful in multiplying larger numbers by breaking them down. So shall we give our scholars some challenge problems using the distributive property?
I think so.
All right, let's do that. All right, scholars, so here are some more distributive property problems for you to try at home. We're going to look at the first one. So now you can see that sometimes we change the orders of the parts and the whole. So we have a part plus a part equals a whole here. This one we have part plus part equals whole. Here we have a whole equaling a part and a part. The order doesn't really change things around. But we want to start by looking at the whole to see what the parts are split into. So for 5 times 9, I'm going to look and see, okay, what part of this is the same? And I see that we're multiplying by 5, we're multiplying by 5, and we're multiplying by 5. And so it was the 9 that was split up. So the 9 was split into 3 and something else. And that something else, what I can think of it like a number bond, 3 and what make 9?
6.
3 and 6 make 9. Great. And so we have 5 groups of 6 and 5 groups of 3 will give us 5 groups of 9. 5 times 6 is
30.
And 5 times 3 is
15,
which means that 5 times 9 is equal to
45.
All right, scholars, we have a couple more examples for you guys to try down there. Bring them back, and your teacher will be so impressed with you.
So impressed.
So impressed. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow morning.
See you tomorrow.
Bye.